Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Q2 and H1 FY22 conference call of Goodluck India Limited. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Mahesh Garg, Chairperson of Goodluck India Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Goodluck India Limited earnings conference call for second quarter and half year ended 30th September 21. I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to all of you by taking your time to join us. On this call with me today are Mr. Ram Agarwal, CEO, Mr. Sanjay Bansal, CFO, and these are our investor relations partner. Since this is our maiden earnings call, before we get into the business and financial performance of the half year, I would like to share a brief insight into our company. Company is an established manufacturer of engineered steel products, incorporated in the year 1986. It is headquartered in Ghaziabad with 346,000 metric tons per annum manufacturing capacity. This capacity is spread across 6 facilities, 5 in Uttar Pradesh, in NCR, and 1 in Kutch, Gujarat, employing over 3,000 employees with over 3 generations of hands-on experience of promoter. Goodluck started as a manufacturer of ERW tubes, which was at that time a value-added product and very much in demand, but gradually over a period of time, this has become a commoditized product. Owing to our engineering background, we always wanted to be in the value-added manufacturing. And as a policy of the company, we have always expanded into value-added segments. So we got into the forging activity, manufacturing forged products. We then decided to move forward with our engineering expertise, got into precision tube manufacturing, which comprised of both ERW and CDW tubes. With a lot of hours, we were able to begin exporting of precision tube to highly rated European auto OEM, and this has spread to other geographies like US. We thereafter added precision engineering fabrication as another segment. Here we have been catering to telecom towers and bridges. Until recently, when we obtained our first LOI for supply and fabrication of bridge for the bullet train track being laid between Mumbai and Ahmedabad, which required huge engineering capabilities and engineering skill. Solar is another area where we have seen huge potential for the supply of value fabrication services, and there we are in it for export of solar fabricated structure in a big way. Another segment we have been focusing in the defense and aerospace, where we had tested proto supplies, and we have been quite successful in this to cater and capitalize on this potential, future potential. We are expanding our capacity in forging by putting up a 6,000 ton press, which is likely to be commissioned by month of December. Just to sum up the company, we are among the leading manufacturer of wide range of engineering structure, precision and auto tubes, forging for defense, aerospace and engineering, CR products, and GI pipes. Company is not only steel product manufacturing, but also provider of engineering solutions. We are on course of making Goodluck a world-class manufacturing organization with greater focus on value addition. We would like to see ourselves evolving as a partner of choice of high-end engineering fabrication player in infrastructure, as manufacturer of best-in-class precision manufacturer, a formidable player in the area of defense and aerospace, which likely to be, with the commissioning of our press, we will be there and which we will be respected supplier of these products. Our goal is to migrate from merely a manufacturing company to a solution provider, and we are very much on the path of it. Having explained the vision of the company, I'd like to hand over the floor to Mr. Ram Agarwal, who will be talking about business in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and I welcome all of you to this call. After the opening remarks by Mr. Garg, where he shared as to how does the management wants Goodluck to be viewed in the near future and its focus on value addition and providing engineering solutions. I would like to take you through company in a bit more detail. The company caters to diverse product range with high level of customization. Products are divided into 4 major divisions: engineering structures and precision fabrication. The other one is forging, precision pipes, auto tubes, and CR coils, pipes and hollow sections. The company strategically has been focusing more on high margin value added product and high growth sectors like auto tubes, solar structures, railways, and defense. This is most likely to start reflecting from our current fiscal in terms of EBITDA per ton, as is evident from the current half yearly in this discussion. I would like to dwell on each of the segment now. We are starting with the engineering structures and precision fabrication. It's one of the key segments, not only in terms of our engineering expertise and passion, but also in terms of growth opportunities. In this, we are evolving to provide both fabrication and services for infrastructure solutions, be it roadways, be it railways or smart city structure, or the latest one is supercritical bridges for high-speed railway corridor, which is being made in India first time. Primary and secondary structures for boilers and turbine generators, launching girders for steel and concrete girders, buildings, structures and technological structures. There is a total manufacturing capacity of 60,000 MT per annum. Recently, as Mr. Garg has told you, that the company was awarded a prestigious LOI of 198 crore by L&T for the bullet train under high-speed railway corridor for supply and fabrication of bridge on Mumbai-Ahmedabad corridor. It is the first in India. The second one is coming from Delhi to Varanasi. Under this, Goodluck will work alongside the Japanese engineers for first of its kind bridge to be constructed in India. We will be only supplying the fabricated bridges in the guidance of the Japanese partners. There is a huge scope of growth and expansion in this segment, and we envision an order book of almost 1,000 crore in the next 2 to 3 years. Another area of focus is the solar power field. We provide MMH structures for solar panels. We have developed structures which require engineering expertise and high demand across the world. We already have a lot of inquiries and we have started exporting. Here again, we can foresee a huge opportunity. The next segment is forging. We specialize in stainless steel, duplex, carbon, alloy steel forging and flanges, which is supplied in more than 100 grade products. Company caters to various and wide industries, machinery and equipment, valves, fittings, petrochemical applications, off-highway and railroad equipments, general industrial equipments, marine, aerospace, and to a little bit defense. Forging for these critical areas has successfully made mark across the industry. Now your company is in the process of adding new machinery which will increase capacity of forging single piece to 14 tons from 7 tons at present, and total capacity per annum to 30,000 MT. It will be enabling manufacturing of high value added product, it will be using less material, in turn adding to our bottom line. With this, we will be in position to manufacture and supply high value-added products which will result in greater profitability. As defense and aerospace, everybody knows it's a strategic area of focus. I would like to talk something about it separately. What we are doing right now, we are getting enlisted with some of the biggest names across Indian aerospace and defense. DRDO, L&T Defense, Godrej Aerospace, BrahMos Missile, and as of now, defense contributes insignificantly. Currently, it is contributing 1 to 2% of the revenue, but this is only the beginning. As negotiations and ramp up of order books within these have a big gestation period. We are also in discussion with various organizations for increasing our association with several other projects. We are pretty sure that we are to usher in this area. Our third segment is precision pipes and auto tubes. Here we offer products that require higher engineering expertise. We are among the very few players to manufacture high quality CDW tubes. Our products are one of the leading products in terms of quality and consistently resulting in high customer satisfaction and repetition of orders. This segment is a substantial contributor of export revenue to your company. We are supplier to some of the most respected brands across the world in both on road and off-road auto segment. The other sector which is adding volume to our basket, that is the CR coils, pipes and tubes, the oldest segment of Good Luck. Our coils are demanded all over the country, mainly in automobile components, consumer durable items and many other items. ERW pipes and tubes find application in precision tubes, support structures. These are being used mainly for vehicle chassis, earth moving equipment, roofing sheets, construction of railway coaches, drums and barrels, material handling equipment, agricultural equipment and many others. Apart from these products, our excellent range of products and services have enabled us to leave geographical boundaries and register our strong presence in more than 100 countries across the globe with a base of over 600 customers. We have extended our reach to the customers worldwide with a well-knit network. That's all from my side. I shall now like to hand over this call to Mr. Sanjay Bansal, our CFO, who will talk about the financial details. Thanks.
Thank you, sir, and welcome all of you to this call. Now coming to financial performance. Financial highlights for second quarter ending 30th September 2021. Revenue from operations stood at rupees 636 crores in Q2 of current financial year as against 420 crores in Q2 of previous year. EBITDA for the quarter was rupees 44 crores as against rupees 34 crores in Q2 of FY21. Q2 profit stood at 17 crores as against profit of 10 crores in Q2 during previous year. Financial highlights for half year ending 30th September 2021. Revenue from operation stood at 1,207 crores in H1 of current financial year as against 671 crores in previous year during the same period. EBITDA for the first half was at rupees 85 crores as against 57 crores in first half of previous year. H1 PAT stood at 31 crores as against rupees 11 crores in previous year, first half of previous year. The company has also paid interim dividend at the rate of 75%, that is rupees 1.5 per share. That's all from my side. We can now open for floor questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one at this time. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one. The first question is from the line of Nitin Agarwal, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello. I want to have a question to the chairman of the company. How much has been the export from this turnover of 1,200 crore in H1, and how the freight rates have impacted the profitability of the company, and how the company wishes to overcome this extra cost of freight in the quarters to come?
Exports in the first half of this year are roughly 550 crore as against 200 crore last year. Regarding the freight cost. And what was the query again? Further query, I did not get you rightly. Can you repeat your question, please?
Mr. Nitin Agarwal, please repeat your question.
Yeah. How the increased freight cost in the last half year impacted the profitability of the company?
It impacted greatly. We have been negotiating with our customer to pass on the freight. But we are an exporter for last 20 years, so we have to honor our commitment. And some of the customers have obliged us. Of course, it will, in the subsequent time, the freight they will have to pay. But for some time, we have taken a hit on the freight also.
Mr. Nitin Agarwal, does that answer your question?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kalpesh Koti from Valentis Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you please share the revenue split between the product portfolio and which are going to contribute the,
Your voice is not clear.
Yeah, I'm audible now?
Now it is audible.
Yeah. So want to know what's the revenue split in terms of product portfolio?
Okay. In terms of the H1 volume, we are having five verticals, as we have already told you. If you take it, the structure is 10% almost, and our CDW tube is almost 14%, and forging is almost 12%, precision tube again is 15%, and our regular product is 30 to 35%.
Okay.
That is the revenue distribution of this H1 quantity.
So what is the total in terms of volume in Q2 and H1?
Volume in H1 is almost 125,000 tons, and in Q2 it is 63,000 tons almost.
Okay. Can you also share the realization for the respective segment?
So realization wise, we can talk of the EBITDA. basically,
EBITDA per ton means.
yeah.
Yeah.
Structure is almost 10% EBITDA, and our CDW tube, it is 14%. Forging again 14 to 15%, and the precision tube section, it takes 9 to 10%, and our regular voluminous product, it gives almost 2 to 3%.
Can you share EBITDA per ton, if possible?
EBITDA, basically, our product basket is very diverse. But however, if you take with the mathematical calculation, it will come almost 6,800
Okay.
overall product ratio.
And what will be the EBITDA per ton for value-added product?
Sir, actually, it is for different products, it can be told. But like if you talk of the structures, it will be almost 7,000 rupees. If we talk of the
Average value added is 12,000.
average value added should be almost 10,000 rupees.
So, what's the total contribution of value-added product in your revenue?
So it is almost 65%.
65%.
Yeah.
So, is going to be go up further?
Yes, we intend to be 75%, but it will take time.
Okay. Okay. And can you share the, as you said in initial remark also, you are the L1 in the 198 crore order from the L&T got. So, any such kind of order we are looking, or we already bid for the same?
Basically, that order in India, high-speed train is coming first time. So now government is planning for the other areas as well, like Delhi, Varanasi, and many other Delhi, Ahmedabad. Many other trains government is trying to make, but this is the first in kind. So once it gets it starts getting executed, the other lines will come, and we will be there to participate in this.
So this L&T order going to confirm by what time?
Pardon?
L&T order we got, we are in the LOI, right?
Yeah.
So is it confirmed order?
Yeah, it is a confirmed order, but as per L&T procedure, it takes almost one and a half months to issue the formal PO. But the work has already started. L&T along with the Japanese, they have visited the plant, and now we are going ahead with the civil foundations and the other works. Machinery order work is going on.
So do we got any advance for the same?
Once the PO is issued, then only we will be able to take advance.
Okay. Do we, sir, need to do a capex for this project?
Yes.
So
it is almost 10 to 12 crore capex is to be done, which we are doing from our internal accruals at our Kutch plant.
Okay. And sir, what is the timeline of the execution?
Execution, it is a tricky question. Why? Because L&T is doing first time, Japanese are doing in India first time, but it is slated to start from January, and it will be spawned in this almost 2 years.
Okay. So majority of your revenue will be coming in next year.
Yes, revenue will come on start from April 22.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rohan Mehta, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations on a good quarter. Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I just had some questions. In terms of our value-added products versus the volume-driven segment, what kind of products would you categorize, since we've talked about it in the presentation also? Which products are value-added, and what was their contribution in revenue during this last quarter or half year, please?
Basically, it is the auto tubes, our engineering structure division, and forgings. These we classify into value-added products, and our other CR coils and pipes, which give volume to our system, that we say is less value-added product, but it gives the volume. And as I have already told you, it is almost 65 to 35% value-added versus the non-value-added.
Okay. And sir, in terms of our exports, which would you see any particular countries or geographies as the key drivers of export revenue, like where demand is more?
Yes, this demand is there for our forgings and auto tubes, mainly Europe and USA.
Europe and USA. Okay, so would the revenue split between export and domestic revenue remain similar at current levels, or would it change in the next coming quarters?
No, this has already, we were doing export last year only 25%. This year it has gone almost 38%. And we expect this to remain around this level, and the total sale percentage will be around the same level.
Right, I see, sir. And we get higher operating margins from the export revenue.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Yes, sir.
I see. Okay, sir. And sir, already it's been, asked, but in terms of capex for precision tubes, how much capacity was added, and around approximately by when is commercial production expected to start for that?
Auto tube expansion was taken with internal accruals with a very little investment, and our capacity has been enhanced by 20% for CDW tube.
Okay, sir. And sir, for aerospace and defense category of our end application, currently I guess it is around 2% of revenue coming in from there. And we've mentioned that we plan to increase it up to 8% or so. So any sort of any timeline or any plan as to how we'll be able to increase that share from that segment?
Look, as we explained earlier, our press is under commissioning.
Right.
When the press comes into operation by end of December, there are a big lineup of the order. We already have approval from state agencies, those who approve for aerospace and defense. Our product have been tested on a sample basis for defense, for missile system, and we expect to go big once our press is commissioned.
Got it, sir. And so this already it's been talked about, raw material. I mean, we all know that it's been a little bit of a pain point for all companies in this sector. So any timeline as to when you expect that the effect of this increase in metal prices would sort of wane off and, come down to normal levels?
I think, very jokingly telling you, I think we have to learn to think of it as a normal. It's a new normal in the pricing.
Right.
We have to learn to live with the pricing.
True, sir. So I guess that then we'll only gradually pass it on to the customer, like increase the price of our product, right?
Absolutely. It is to be passed on. It is being passed on, and will be passed on.
All right. Okay, sir. Just one last question I had. Now that effects of the pandemic and lockdown and everything are going back, I mean, it's reducing, almost industries are going back to normal. Do you think that the current growth, right now it is relatively higher because the last year was totally hit by COVID, but once the entire effects have gone by, would growth be at par with pre-COVID levels, or would it continue to be at a higher level as it is right now?
It will be definitely, it will exceed the pre-COVID levels. Whole economy has to achieve the pre-COVID levels. Thereafter, growth has to come with government reform push, which government has done with so many restructuring of the financial system government has done. It will have an overall impact on the economy, emphasis on infrastructure, in which we are there in a big way. It is going to definitely very positive for our industry. And we look forward for a growth in exports. With China problems today, we are looking at the export as a very growth engine for the company. With China problems, the world over, the most of the geographies are very averse to deal with China, so we stand a good chance everywhere.
Correct. I agree. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shivakumar, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I have two questions. One is that what's the current capacity that has been achieved?
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Kumar. I request you to please use the handset mode. The audio is not clear from your line.
Okay. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, sir, couple of
Mr. Kumar, your audio is breaking now, sir. Please check.
1 minute. Hello. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So a couple of questions. One is that what is the current capacity that we have achieved, and what is the expected capacity that we think we're going to go ahead and achieve in the next few quarters? And is there a need for CapEx, which is substantial, for any growth from now onwards? That's the first question. The second is that given, I think the question which was asked earlier also, is that what is the new normal in terms of the EBITDA percentage, given the higher cost of raw materials that we expect? And is there a possibility that all the cost of increase of raw materials can be passed on to the consumers? Is that possibility still there, or is there something which is going to go ahead and stay with the company, which will have an impact on the EBITDA? Because 35% of your volume of your volume business is already 2%, and the margin of safety is pretty low. We just wanted to just check on that context. So these are the three questions.
Sir, let me answer your question one by one. Our capacity utilization today is on 76%. And without any capex, we are aiming to achieve around 85 to 87% with more availability of raw material. If we were able to get full quantity of raw material, we would have achieved that, number one. Number two, your question of the increased costs are being passed on. What it definitely happens with a time lag, and once the rate is stabilized, the cost will be definitely passed on to the buyer. There is no doubt about it.
Okay, just an add-on question. So if the current EBITDA level is at around 8.5% overall, could we see somewhere around 10% being achieved over the next 3-4 quarters gradually? Is that expectation right?
I did not get your question rightly. Please, can you repeat?
Yeah. I'm saying that current EBITDA, overall EBITDA is about 8.5%. Am I right?
No. It is around 7%.
7%. Okay. So gradually, once the raw material issue settles down, are we expecting to go ahead and improve it to, let's say, 8.5%? That's what I'm looking at in the next 2 quarters.
Number one, I should clarify, the EBITDA percentage has gone down due to cost push. Once the cost push goes away, then EBITDA will improve definitely. It is bound to improve. How much it will improve will depend on how the business shifts out. But EBITDA is bound to improve. Our EBITDA has gone down. So there were a lot of cost push. All input costs have gone up. Freight costs have gone up, which has dragged the EBITDA percentage downward. But things have to normalize one day. Sooner than later. It cannot go on increasing every day. We are well within control and things are bound to improve.
Okay. One final question, if I may. Sir, our inventory currently is at reasonable levels, or has that still is an issue that we need to address?
I don't think there's any issue. We are in the normal living.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm through.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aniket Redkar, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations for the good set of numbers. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Ji.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a couple of questions. Yeah, my first question is, Can you guide us with where do we see our revenue by the end of this year and for the coming next 3 years?
Sir, for this year, I am expecting revenue to be around in the range of 2,400 crores. Again,
Okay.
last year revenue 1,572 crore. And the
Okay.
year ahead, I am expecting 10% growth.
Okay. 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 So, what is the export contribution in the first half of the year, and which are the key countries contributing the most of this revenue?
It is almost 550 crore, as I told, against 1,200 crore. So in big percentage you can take out, Barachok, almost 48%.
Okay. Okay. So, see, as we can see, the different segments are the order book driven. So, what is the current order book, and how is resulting in the revenue visibility?
Basically, we are, as I have already told, we are having a basket of products. So some products really, there we can talk of the order book as the engineering structures we have told. Right now we have an order book of 400 crores, and in the coming 2-3 years, as per the Indian system, we can hope of 1,000 crores in next 2-3 years. But in the other segments, it is the visibility of orders. Once we supply the older quantity, then the new quantity is coming. We have a vision of almost 6 months to 1 year, like in our auto division, like in our forging division. We have the certain forecast available with us on which we plan. But it is not like that all the orders have come 1 year back and now we are executing in the coming 1 year. It is only possible in the infra projects because they are the long time taking projects.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, what are your top 2-3 competitors in the industry, and who are the top contributing clients, domestic and globally?
Sir, to talk of competitors with us, to name them is totally not desirable at this moment.
Okay.
Not desirable. We can talk of ourselves.
Okay. So, sir, which are the top contributing clients right now we have, domestic and as well as global?
I can tell you one thing. It will be difficult to name my top customers as on this in the conference call. But
Okay.
we have a dedicated customer with us who are standing for a long time, or 80% of our customers have a long association with us in business. Whether it is auto tube, whether it is forging, whether it is structure.
Oh. Okay. Do we have any plans to raise further funds? I mean,
Right now, currently we don't have any plan to raise further funds.
okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. This is from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kalpesh Kothi from Valentis Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. So you talk about defense. What kind of revenue visibility you have for this year and next year?
As we have already told, this sector is very critical and it has a very long gestation period. And you know what India is talking for last 10 years, that we will make this, but every program, if you talk of any missile, any plane, it takes 10 years, it takes decades. So we have started enlisting with all the customers, but it will again take 2 to 3 years to get the work from them, and then we can talk of what we have planned to get more turnover in this sector. It will come in 2 to 3 years. First installation is the starting of the cycle.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Mahesh Garg for closing comments. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Sir, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each member of Good Luck family. I would like to thank all our clients, creditors, banks, financial institutions, and other stakeholders and everyone who has participated in this phone call. For any further query or information, please get in touch with our investor relations team, and we will be happy to answer that. Thank you very much.
I just want to clarify one thing. The best of looking at us in terms of EBITDA per ton and not in terms of EBITDA percentage. We are putting in all efforts to take this per ton metrics higher in the coming quarters. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Good Luck India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.